Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we disassemble a film for the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco. And Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Do you know from time to time, I know on the Marvel Movie Minute, we talk about timely and informative health issues.
I hope it's not incredibly timely because there's a bit of a lag when we record to when people have it, so I hope it's nothing that time sensitive.
No, I mean, here's the deal. And we're not doctors. Please note the disclaimer, legal disclaimer. Yes. Don't take any advice from us about health issues.
Only in things that you watch.
Yeah, sure.
Or possibly the YouTube links that we tell you.
Yeah, every once in a while we have a PSA. We know that. Sometimes we go serious. We understand that. Now, what could possibly open today's show? Yes, maybe the thought occurred. Hemorrhoids. But no.
Oh, thank goodness.
We're not talking about hemorrhoids. Not yet. But we will in this minute.
Something to look forward to. No, don't pause.
No, here's what we're going to talk about. Ocular nerve displacement.
Oh.
I made that up myself. I don't think that's an actual term, but here's what I'm talking about.
Oh, OND? Yeah, people know about that.
Did they know it? OND? Yeah, oh, that's what it's called. Oh, yeah.
OND, yeah.
No, what am I talking about? I'm talking about something that has always bothered me. It happens in this minute. No one, when they open their eyes, should not both eyes open at the same time. And you're looking at it like, wait, what? No, we're going to talk about this. Here's the deal. If one of your eyes opens more slowly, it could be that you have a weakness in one of the muscles in your eyelid. This is not uncommon. However, it could also be the result of nerve trapping, which controls the muscle in your sleep. It's advisable that you should visit your optometrist for a referral to an eye specialist if you think this could be the case. It also could be the result of a condition called blepharitis. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, which could also cause the eyelids to stick together. Your friends here at the Marvel Movie Minute encourage you to keep your eyelids clean and even possibly try lubricating eye drops, which could be used in the evening to help resolve the problem. Special thanks to the great folks at specsavers.com.au for help in compiling the appropriate and timely information for today's segment. And Mr. Cheadle, you're welcome.
We want to keep those peepers a-poppin' here on minute 106 of Iron Man 2 from 2010, director Mr. Jon Favreau. So we're picking up where we left off, which is Natasha has just rebooted War Machine. So they're sort of in the middle of their computer thing. And I think what you're going to see over the course of the next 5 minutes or so is what I'm going to call phantom technology. Yeah. Which is, I guess I'm going to just coin that. It's just two words I'm going to put together. Copyright Marvel Movie Minute. Sure, why not?
Phantom tech.
Because things in this show up that we had no idea that they existed or that were a part of the movie, and then they just disappear just as quickly and are gone. It's like the Phantom Menace. It's phantom technology. Like suddenly there's a thing and now it's gone.
That's going to be one of many Star Wars references over the course of the next few minutes. Just FYI.
So, yeah.
Well, you're not talking about this thermal imaging thing of Tony's face that we talked about. We know how this happens.
Yes. That's fine, and I guess I'm okay with that. It's it's as it's coming back around. So Natasha is communicating with Tony. So like we talked about the weird camera angle and stuff too. So somehow she has a camera feed into his helmet. I don't know how. What phantom technology? But they're having their conversation. Natasha says, "You got your best friend back," which is so sweet. Oh. And so Tony says, "Thank you very much, Ava Robinoff," which is really nice. Like that's very using her formal title,
respectful.
Yes, he's not saying Natalie or anything nice. Like he's like thank you very much, Ava Robinoff. Natasha says, "Well done on the new chess piece. I'm reading significantly higher output, and your vitals all look promising." And here we go again. Okay, so so are we saying that Ivan had a direct line that could actually monitor Tony's vitals, or now that Natasha has hacked in and rebooted the system, she's getting the data from War Machine's suit?
Okay, yes. Here's what we're saying: it's War Machine's suit. It's still Stark technology, so it has some sort of backdoor entry into this. But also, we've talked about the sort of, QR code sort of imaging where by looking at it, the technology can, by looking at something, can look for the particular pattern of electronic pulses and then latch on, sort of like tapping in to its information. That's nonsense. Everything that I just said. I was trying.
It's more thought than I think they put into it.
Yeah. All of this,
yes.
No, it doesn't make there was nothing that laid the groundwork for why this is even happening. The only thing that we do know is that the camera that this is from, I think it obviously clearly is the camera that is in the helmet. Tony has that FaceTime camera, for lack of a better term, because as he's talking to her, he looks directly into the camera.
He does.
So he knows the camera's there.
And he looks up.
Yes.
To do it. So, I mean, it is something that's mounted somewhere on the visor.
The inside forehead, it looks like. So it's above the windows or the eyes that you see on the Iron Man suit. So, no, that is something he knows is there, and that is part of his suit technology. But how this is all happening, I don't know.
Yeah. And then to continue on with this, Tony says, yes, for the moment, I'm not dying. Thank you. And then Pepper, suddenly we hear, what do you mean you're not dying? Did you say you're not dying? So on the right monitor, now they have a live video feed established with Pepper from the computer that's in the back of the Performing Arts Center at the expo. Well, wait, when did that start? Where did that come from?
It's Hammer technology.
I guess so. I mean, well, wow. In 2010, Hammer had... that much intense video output.
Next gen.
I mean,
bleeding edge. I mean, like, no.
The one thing to say about Hammer, it's bleeding edge technology, as we're going to see in the next couple minutes. We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't jump the gun.
We're totally going to get there.
Phantom technology. So all of a sudden, Pepper's over there, and so now, and also she can now hear.
Yes.
So even now, like right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm getting messages. Rob, I'm telling you right now, I'm getting messages from one of my friends. They sent me a message that popped up on my screen. Did you know that happened?
No, I did not.
Because they're isolated. They're siloed. Like, I'm having a conversation with you, and that's happening the same thing. So I can be having two video conversations at once, and you two can't talk to each other unless I have networked you in together. So how is Pepper hearing this? How did she, just jump into the conversation?
No, it's microphones and speakers. It's like whenever we get ready to start to record, and I forget to channel my audio output from my speaker monitor speakers to my headphones.
And I take the opportunity to yell things to everyone in your house. Yeah.
See, that happens, which is what happened today. Yes, that's what it is. She's hearing it. She's not seeing Tony. She hears the conversation. That's kind of plausible. What's not is the setup
seeing it too, but I'm trying to figure out the sound of it too. So she
was talking to Agent Romanoff. She was talking to Black Widow. They were having a conversation.
These minutes are back to back. We never saw that any connection get established.
No. Something happened between she entered the room, saw everything, and she's working on Rhodey.
Yeah.
That's what this is implied. I think what's implied is that somewhere in that cut, there is a moment where she opens a channel of communication to Pepper to say, hey, Pepper, this is what I'm doing. Okay. I'm working on this. Pepper, you know what I mean? Just because she knows Pepper's there. And then, yes, we're dropped into this.
Yeah,
this whole conversation we didn't know was happening.
We're just dropping scenes. We're dropping frames. We're dropping everything here just to try and just keep moving. It's like at this point, in the movie, they're just like, it doesn't matter. Just keep going. It's like the train is coming so fast.
And really, it is. I mean, and especially the way this conversation is done, which is a really funny conversation. It's even done to where it's a handheld camera movement from monitor to monitor, which increases the freneticness of it. It looks harried and crazy, but that's what the intent is.
Yeah.
Because there's urgency.
So the conversation then becomes between Tony and Pepper as Natasha's just standing there like, okay. Tony says, is that you? No, I'm not anymore. Talking about dying. Pepper says, what's going on? Tony says, I was going to tell you. I didn't want to alarm you. Pepper says, you were going to tell me you were dying? Tony says, you didn't let me. Pepper says, why didn't you tell me that? Tony said, I was going to make you an omelet and tell you. Everybody remember back from the flight back from the tray, he made the terrible omelet and half burnt and half undone. And Natasha's finally just focus people. Hey, save it for the honeymoon. You got incoming, Tony. Looks like the fight's coming to you. So she sees one individual, dot moving towards Tony with a different designation than the rest of them. And Tony says, great. Pepper? Pepper says, are you okay now? She's still in it because it's obviously still, just found out that her ex-boss kind of boyfriend-ish thing was going to die and didn't tell her. Tony says, I am fine. Don't be mad. I will formally apologize, which is, that was, man, you really want to piss somebody off. They say that, I'll formally apologize to you later. Formally.
For
Pepper,
show.
Yeah, Pepper says, I am mad, which is like, wow, there's some shocking writing right there. I am mad.
Oh, it's good. Well,
yeah, it's in the middle of, so what Tony is saying is, I will formally apologize when I'm not fending off a hammer-oid attack.
Hammer-oids.
Hammer-oids.
We could have gone down that route.
Yes.
We won't.
No.
But that's a funny way, though, of saying that, right? Like,
yeah.
Tony's trying to be sly and snarky, Yeah. I mean,
I'm glad that in your introduction, you decided not to use the South entrance.
Oh, good Lord.
That was also a very oblique Star Wars reference. Keep going. So Pepper says, fine. And Tony says, we could have been in Venice. And Pepper says, oh, please. Because you remember, there was a point where Tony was like, let's just drop this all. We'll just head to Venice. It'll be great. We haven't been there in a long time.
It all connects. No, it absolutely does. A couple things to note about this.
Yes.
Okay, I love this very quick, flirty banter. It works really well because it's now giving us the conclusion to their relationship in terms of this movie and what it's building towards, which is obviously professing their love for one another. And I think that that's really nice. I love the fact that in this crazy interspersing of these back and forth between the monitors, which, by the way, great job again on the graphics. Mm-hmm. You can see on Tony's monitor, you actually see all of the markers for all the other drones converging on their spot. So as this is all happening, you've got the camera movement. I mean, it's a great way to do multiple things to convey to the audience, you got to hurry up because this has got to get done, right?
Yeah.
And then I also love within this relationship, and I think this is a really nice development of their relationship in terms of Tony and Pepper, to have this funny, witty banter during what is an incredibly scary, crazy moment, right?
Right.
Like that's the kind of thing that only people who share relationships like that can do, where everything, the craziness can subside for a second because we can just be present to one another and have that conversation. I like that a lot.
It's the kind of thing that you can only really have when you've had the first assembly cut of the movie and realize that the ending doesn't work and you have to bring the actors back in to redo something, which is exactly what happened here because this whole scene is reshoots.
Wait, what?
Yeah, all this stuff, like having Natasha break in and reboot Rhodey's suit and be there, and having Pepper come on and having conversation. This is all from the second version of the movie.
Well, thank God for that, because I like this.
Right, because this feels more Iron Man 2 than almost what we've heard about the other stuff, too. It's the same, it's the banter. I mean, like, they're dropping references to the omelet and Venice and all this kind of stuff. And, Natasha being the calm, sensible one while the Bickertons are going back and forth. I mean, this is all something that they put together after the fact. So to have this sort of moment. And apparently this was a source of contention too, because they're like, there's robots and fighting, we should be shooting it. Like, no, people like want to see this kind of thing. And also, he talked about this and in the next couple minutes, how he doesn't like info drops. John Favreau, I'm talking about, doesn't like info dump, where it's just like, we need the Ramla Slam to done the Ramla Flam. Like he really wants it to have something to do. So it's better with a joke, so to have it like in the midst of you basically slip the broccoli in with the candy, so it's just like you're not paying attention to all the other stuff because you're enjoying the banter and that kind of thing.
I think it's interesting in this whole conversation that they have between Tony and Pepper that they cut to this one moment of Natasha and she's looking and she kind of turns her head and her eyes start to get narrowed like, oh, yeah, you guys are in love. Like it's this moment. I mean, it's there for that reason, I think, not just to break up the scene back and forth, but to put it in there to go, oh yeah, that's why you guys are acting like this. Because then she wraps it up at the end with save it for the honeymoon. I think that's I think both of those things, her nonverbal and the save it for the honeymoon, connect that together.
Yep. So, then we go back to the Japanese garden because Rhodey then is still on his back. So then we have Tony Stark tapping on Rhodey's face to wake him up. Like, and says someone who worn a helmet. If you're wearing a helmet and somebody knocks on it, yeah, that's really gonna hurt.
It's annoying.
You. Just I suppose you got this metal helmet and you have something metal tapping on it. It's like taking a hammer to it. So Tony then is trying to get Rhodey to wake up, make sure he's okay. He says, Rhodes, snap out of it, buddy. I need you. They're coming. Come on, let's roll, get up. And so as we're watching this, then we see from Rhodey's perspective, Tony looking down at him, and we see the reboot sequence of War Machine we've never really seen before. So now all of the Cyrillic characters are gone, all the sort of green-red is gone, and we're back to sort of what the heads-up display was in the initial, like when we first saw it back on stage and so we see a lot of stuff going through. And it's interesting because, I mean, it goes by really fast, so I had to pause it, but it's interesting what they chose to show, because the three things you can see coming online are radiator IC intake single turbo online. The next one is radiator IC CWC all coolers online. And then radiator IC radiator ducting online. So it's like, apparently the War Machine suit has a lot of radiators?
You know why?
Why?
Because it's been overplated, over-armored, and it's carrying a ton of weaponry. So the radiators are all there to keep the systems. No, I actually thought...
Is this heat?
Yes.
Like these are heat sinks.
These are all heat sinks, heat dissipation, all those processes to do that. That actually makes a little bit of sense. He's more tank than man. That's the problem there. So no, okay. And I just got to say, when this happens, and it's cool. I mean, that's a cool detail, I think, obviously, like you said, in the heads up display. But then, okay, then this moment happens that I talked about in the open. We cut to this over the shoulder shot of Tony. Mm-hmm. Rhodey's head comes up.
Yep,
and Don Cheadle does something that I cannot do, which is open your eyes up sequentially. What? And I got to tell you this, like every time I've seen this movie, whenever this happens, I always go, how do you do that? Because I can close one eye than the other, but like I have to like have my eyes closed and then think about opening one eye and then the other one, not in a see where you're laying there thinking about coming back to consciousness. Right?
This is why you pay top dollar for a guy like Don Cheadle, because this is a pro who has been through it and knows how to convey coming out of being knocked unconscious one eyelid at a time.
And I'm going to tell you this, like never, I don't know, like that is such a great acting moment, because it even gives you more of the impression that, well, he just got knocked out of his wits, right? Like,
right.
That's like a staggered startup of like a car, anything you can think of mechanical. To see a human do it, I don't know how he did that. Like, how did he do that without really controlling his eyes?
Yeah.
Come on. Way to go. Unless he's in need of some eye drops, which once again, Mr. Cheadle,
it's very much possible.
We want to make sure that you're okay.
That's a good question. Do you think the Iron Man suit moisturizes Tony's eyes?
Oh.
Do you think that there's like a Visine dispenser on either side that's like it just like puts a little mist out like in between the helmet and the face?
Well, you would think that, like, okay, if you relate it, it's different from an astronaut helmet, because it can actually come out. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's got easy access to his face. Yeah. But like all that kind of stuff, you would wonder, or like the opposite. What happens when you sneeze?
Yeah.
Does it just go?
Because in the first Iron Man movie, when he is flying, actually, I take this is something that is a continuing thing. In the first Iron Man movie, when he is flying in the sky and his suit goes dead, you see him looking out through the slots, because they're literally slots. Now, by this point, I think that they have actually like something behind them. Like they have.
Now, it might be movable though. From what I've read,
it might be movable.
It's movable possible, just in case that situation happens again.
Right. Because I think then I believe when the same thing happens to War Machine in Civil War, I think that when he goes dead stick, as he talks about, I think it's the same thing. He can then see out of it too. So maybe when the power goes out, the things drop open so they can see actually out through the slits.
Right. So it gives them that ability. That would make sense.
Because I would be interested to see what Tony is seeing. We don't really. That's not something that happens very often.
Oh, right.
We see his face and the display. I like to see like from the other angle, like what's on the thing in front of him.
Yeah. Wait, what is his actual view? Is it like
I'm sure it has because I don't trust my memory to be 100% that it has never happened before, but it's very rare that we get to see his perspective. I think maybe in the Civil War fight we get to see like as he's being punched in the face a bunch of times, we get to see his perspective of like, you know, like here comes Steve's fist again.
Yeah, it's got to be like a view screen, almost like Star Trek-esque, like where you get this visual representation.
The premise is that the cameras are shooting this into his eyes. So like when you see the display of his face, none of that stuff is actually there.
Right. Like
he only has an inch or two before the actual Iron Man helmet is right in front of him. Let's say I'm putting my hands in front of my face, realizing I'm blocking the microphone because I'm a professional podcaster.
Indeed.
Just wildly gesticulating that no one can see except you. That's the idea is that like it's shooting it into his eyes, and then that's what it's displaying, and then like wherever he looks, then sort of highlights.
Yeah, that's what I've assumed. Right?
Yeah. So then, it's putting the display of what's right outside of it in front of it. Yeah, it's a very complicated system. But meanwhile, Rhodey Bell, well and truly rung, as there has a great line to end the minute, which is, "Oh man, you can have your suit back." It's so good. Don Cheadle is the best. He just deliver these lines flat, and it's so funny. And
this is the return. This right there, that moment is the full final resolution of the relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah, this brings to the end the conflict from the party and everything too, is like all is forgiven. So like, okay, now we're buddies again. We're on the same side.
And isn't it funny? Because that's a callback to their battle in Tony's home. Tony gets knocked out. You know what I mean? Like you have that very nice true. Yeah. No, you have that nice bookend to that experience. He's now experienced it and he's like, yeah, this isn't for me. Of course, though, it is for him, but that's okay. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So he picks him up. We go to a great, nice wide shot of the whole, again, the Japanese garden terrain with a nice waterfall.
That's right. We get to see sort of like where we're going to be spending the next couple of minutes. And a major scene is about to happen. And so we're getting sort of our sense of geography.
Well, everything's fine. He's gotten up. He's been rebooted. Everything's okay. What can happen now?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine now. What could happen? I mean, everything's been dealt with. I mean, I can't think of any outstanding plot threads that we haven't dealt with yet. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess maybe credits roll in Meanwhle 7. We'll see.
Stay tuned in.
Yeah, because the phantom technology has not gone away. We still got more of that coming. In the meantime,
Kyle, just like the conversation that we saw here today between Tony and Pepper. And Natasha sort of observing it and then being able to offer some helpful advice during the midst of this conversation. There's places where conversations like that happen where you can observe and you can chime in with helpful advice.
That's right, because we have our very own Discord server. Over at the Next Reel, we have a very own Marvel Movie Minute channel. Actually, at this point, we have two. If you want to talk specifically about Iron Man 2 in this show, you can do that. If you want to talk about general Marvel movie news, by the time you're hearing this, who knows what major Marvel bombshells have dropped. But this is the place for the fans of Next Reel and Marvel stuff to gather and talk about these things. And just like Happy, you can just lurk. Just be hanging out in the corner and watching as the conversation goes by. You are just as welcome as loudmouths like Tony on Discord. We love them just as much as we love our quiet, happy lurkers.
Just not in the car. Keep your eyes on the road.
Yeah, just right. Just keep your eyes on the road. That's all we ask. So check it. Go to nextro.com, scroll down, find the Discord link, and connect in. Come on in. We're happy to have you.
Indeed.
So in the meantime, do not say unsubscribe because this buddy flick has finally become buddies again, so you don't want to miss that. So minute 107, we are going to get into some serious friendship. Enough said.
Bye.